I'm going to show you exactly how the core interface works. I'm going to explain a bit about the side panel, the timeline, the canvas, how to export, some of the details on the timeline as well. So this will give you a very good understanding of the core principles of how this works. You will understand the workflow when you're making every single video. So if you can see, this is the side panel. We've got the chart builders. These are to build the actual charts, the candle building tools. We've got all your tools, trading tools, drawing tools. We've got your library, so you can access all your saved projects go over here. All your templates go over here that you save. And then if you click more, you can access all the free templates that we make, which are done for you templates ready to roll. If you come into the media, this is where you can upload images, videos, audio, that kind of thing. Super simple. Come into text. This is where you can pick your text. You can type in a custom word that you want test, and then you can observe to see how does it look with all the different options. Animated stickers that you can use. And over here, we've got a whole bunch of things, how to record audio, captions, AI voice, and pixel editor. But basically, I want to show you how to actually work with the layers. So we're going to add a candle onto the chart, and then we're going to deselect it, add another one. So now we've got 2 layers on the chart. And then I'm just going to grab another tool. So for this one, I'm just going to show you how things work. We're not really going to build too much. I'll come over here and I'll add a zone tool as well. So we've got a zone. This is great for creating demand zones, supply zones, liquidity areas. And then we're going to have 2 of these. This one I'm going to turn to red. So we've got 2 different kinds. So now if you look over here, this is our timeline. And this is the canvas. And this is our side panel. And basically on the timeline, we've got a few different options over here. You can see this is our solo option. If we click this, it will only show that layer and only anything on this layer. So you can see right now you only see this. If I click 2, it's going to show only these 2 layers. So this is a nice way if you end up with a lot of layers, you can deselect some and focus on others. And then the next one over here is the delete. It'll delete this layer. You'll see it deletes that layer completely. And then the next one is if you want to create an empty layer underneath it, and it creates an empty layer. So if we click that one, the empty layer is underneath it. If we click this one, the empty layer is underneath it. So it's just a nice way to work with the layers, those 3 back. And then what you do is you coordinate on the timeline. So right now, this is the playhead. And the playhead goes through different times. You can see this is 5 seconds, 10 seconds. So right now, the zone tool ends after 5 seconds. And then if we want the single candle tool to continue after those 5 seconds, and then the next one to continue after that, you can see now it'll only show the zone tool until we leave the 5 seconds, and then it'll only show the single candle red. And then when we leave that, only the single candle green. So this just shows you how to work with the timing of things. And then if we play it, you'll see it'll play until the zone stops, and then single builder red starts. And it'll play until it stops, then single green. Then it'll play until the single builder red stops, and then it'll start with the single builder green. So this is how you can coordinate all your different layers. You can move them around on the chart here. You can extend them, so you can make them longer on the left side, longer on the right side. If you want to line them up, so say for instance you want to line it up, all you do is drag it next to it, and you get this line that's produced, which is almost like a special ruler. So it helps you align them. They also snap to the playhead. So you can see it snaps to the playhead. So you can align it to the playhead as well. Over here, you'll see we've got the zoom out and the zoom in. So we can actually zoom in. So we can put the playhead over here, and we can zoom into this area. When you zoom in over 169%, then we get this mini map that appears. A mini map is basically just going to show you what's happening on the timeline to make it easier to direct and navigate through the timeline. You can increase the size of it over here, and you'll see they've got 3 layers on the mini map, and these are these layers here. So you'll see this becomes really invaluable when you end up with lots of layers. It's very easy to move and navigate through lots of different layers to coordinate your animations. So we can close that. If you just click on that, it will close the mini map. You can open it at any point, but it automatically opens when you get past a certain zoom size. When you right click on a layer, you see right click, you'll get a pop-up with different options. You can duplicate the layer, so it'll create 2 of the same layer if you want to create more of them, or you can split it. So if we put the playhead in the middle and you right click and say split the playhead, it breaks it in half. So now you've got 2 of them. And then each one you can extend the time to make it last longer, or reduce it to make it shorter. It's up to you. Or we can move it to the top track, it moves it right to the top, or we can move it to the bottom, moves it to the bottom, or you can delete it. if you want to get a layer all the way to the top without having to navigate or drag it individually, especially when you end up with 20, 30, 40 layers, it's really nice and easy to just send it to the top or send it to the bottom like that. On the timeline, we've got these 3 buttons. This button over here, it goes to the beginning of the first layer you have on the timeline. So you can see this is our first timeline layer, so it goes to the beginning. If you click, it'll go to the end. And then if we play, we click play, and it'll play through all of those. There you go. And then we can obviously start selecting. If you click on an individual layer, so if we click on this zone layer, it opens the zone panel. If we click on the single builder, it opens the single builder panel. So all you have to do is click on the layer, it opens the panel, and then you can edit from that panel. And then whatever edits you make on that panel will happen specifically on that layer. You can move it around how you want on the chart. Once you're on the canvas over here, what you can do is you can select with the marker, you can right click drag, and then it will select all the layers. And then you can move them all together as well. You'll also notice here you can select them all on the timeline itself and move them around, and they'll all move together as well. So you've got a marquee that can select on the canvas, and you've got one that can select in the timeline. Over here, we've got the canvas background. If you want to change the color of the background, you can change the color of the background. If you want to add a gradient to the background, you can do that. And you can also add an image to the background, depending on how you want it to look. This area is just showing you your credits based on how many credits you utilize or based on your exports, that kind of thing. Now, when you have your animation ready to run, let's just say you've created this cool animation. You've got the uptrend tapping into the supply zone over here, and then we're getting the rejection on the supply zone coming down. So say you've made your animation, you want to export it, you click export, and then you've got your export ready to roll. You can choose if you want your MP4, GIF, or just a PNG. You can choose to just export a PNG, which is just going to be a static image, and then you can pick exactly what quality level you want, 720, 1080, or 4K. Over here, this is pretty cool. If you click the share link preview, it will give you a link that you can download, and then you just paste it into the browser, and what it'll do is it'll be able to open your animation where you can share it with others, and you can just play the animation and just watch the animation. If you want to save your chart, all you got to do is write the name you want to save it to over here, and then click this button, and it will save your chart. This will save it as a project. If you click over here, this is going to save it as a template. So if you open here, this will save templates, and templates are great because you can actually share your templates, and you can come back to them at a later stage to export these exact templates. So as soon as you open up, it'll pick a preview. You can either choose based on the playhead, so your frame will be based on where the playhead is located. So if I move it over here, that will be the thumbnail image, or if I move it here, that'll be the thumbnail image, or you can let it just pick the best one for you, and then title, description, tags, and then obviously whatever tier you are, and you just publish it. Over here, we've got the actual aspect ratios. So if you want to do short videos, you can go 9:16. If you want to do YouTube, if you want to do Instagram, all those kind of things, we've got them all set depending on the social media platform that you want to export to. Over here, we can zoom in. Once you zoom in, it's quite nice because then if you want to cut off pieces, so we've got a cut tool over here. If I select that layer, remember you've always got to select the layer you want to use. And then if I click cut, it'll cut that piece there. So we can use the zoom tool, which is nice. We can zoom in, zoom out. And then if you click the actual percentage, it'll just go directly to the 100%. We've got a bunch of things. We've got the undo over here, the redo, which works great. You've also got the Control Z. You can type on the keyboard, which goes back. We've got a great grid here, which creates these grids in the background. You'll see we get all these grids that get created in the background. And this is just for purposes of alignment. If you want to align and make sure everything is lined up, that's really cool. This is for quick tools. Click on here, you can access zone tools, circle, line, note, arrow. So this is a quick tool pathway. This is for static images. So if you click on static mode only, then this is just for creating PNGs. So if you want to create like YouTube thumbnail covers, or just specific chart animated PNGs, this is what you do. Put static mode on, you click it again, static mode is off. If you click this button over here, this hides the timeline. And if you click this button over here, it hides the side panel. So you can open up to see maximum view, which is really great. Open side panel, open timeline again. And then we've got a few other tools. We've got the chart blocks and the keyframes. These are pro and elite tools, which I'll be covering later in the training. But that's the basics of the interface. Test it out yourself, play around with everything. It becomes super simple once you give it some time and some energy. And when you're ready, let's jump into the next training video.